Now, I said that the ego has basically three choices, three options to choose in from dealing with the id's impulses. Number one, go ahead and do it. Number two, yes, but not now. You'll have to wait for the right time or the right place when things are safe and we won't get into big trouble. But there are also times in your life when your ego must choose the third option, telling the id, no, not now, not ever. But why? Why would the ego make such a harsh, uncompromising decision and risk outright war with the id? Well, the answer to this question brings us to the third and final component of the human mind to develop, the superego, which functions as our moral guide in life. The principles that we follow are conscious, helping us to avoid immoral behavior. The superego develops around the age of 5 or 6, and even at this young age, Freud argued, the young boy or girl does experience sexual development. Actually, Freud believed that sexual development begins even earlier in childhood, but not sex in the way that adults would think of it. Sex is an act which brings physical gratification, sensual pleasure, and Freud was right when he argued that even children can take pleasure from physical contact from their own bodies. They explore themselves. That's natural. They touch, they caress, they seek to discover what feels good and what doesn't, which again has nothing to do with adult sexuality. But for Freud, this early exploration is a stage on the path to adult sexuality. But in these early years, the child is chiefly interested in exploring his or her own body. And then, around 5 or 6 years old, the child's interests begin to wander, let's say, and the id begins to seek pleasure from an external love object, another person. Now, when the 6-year-old boy looks around him for a partner, someone else to play with and explore in a way, who does he see? His mother. Or for the girl, this would be her father. This process I am describing, Freud more or less explained, holds true for both boys and girls. Thus, in many cases, the mother becomes the boy's first sexual or love interest, just as the father becomes a girl's first love object. This is what Freud referred to as the Oedipus complex, one of his most famous and controversial theories. The name of this complex, Freud borrowed this name Oedipus from an old Greek story about a prince who's separated from his parents after birth. By the time he meets up again with them as an adult, he doesn't know who they are. He ends up killing his own father and marrying his mother. It's a powerful play and quite disturbing. But back to the Oedipus complex. So the boy wants his mother. But in a traditional late 19th or early 20th century European home, such as Freud's Austrian society, the mother was usually taken. She already had a partner, the father. And who is father? I mean, from the perspective of a 5 or 6-year-old boy, who is father? In many cases, father at that time in a child's life is a powerful, decisive, and quite potentially threatening. After all, the boy's ego wonders, if I allow the id to do this, to seek a physical relationship with mother, how will father react? Chances are he'll kill us. And remember, the ego's job is to keep you safe. So can the ego opt for the second choice? Let's postpone this desire until later on, id, you can have mother, but not now. No way. The threat remains, life-threatening. So quite probably for the first time in a child's life, the ego must make the third choice, the most desperate and dangerous of choice. It must tell the id, no, no way, not now, not ever. I will never let you have this thing that you want. Never. the id has never been told no quite like this before, and it doesn't like no. The id is angry. The id is furious, and the ego faces a terrible battle with the first component of the mind, the most primitive component of the mind. It takes a huge amount of energy and effort for the ego to block the id, but it has no choice, really. It has to stop the id in order to keep you alive. The desire that has brought this about, this ultimate threat, must be dealt with. But the ego doesn't have the power to erase desire or instinct. All it can do is to bury the desire deep in the mind. This burial of instinct, of desire, is known as repression. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. The creation of the superego stems from the desperate clash between the ego and the id. In fact, you could say the creation of the third component of the mind, the superego, is an effort on the part of the ego to trick the id into abandoning this dangerous desire for mother. Think of it this way. The ego is telling the id, I cannot let you have mother, but I can give you something that will make you more like the man who does have mother. In other words, I can help you be more like father. Remember, father is the all-powerful, the decision maker. He knows what the child does not. And now, having repressed the desire for mother, the ego seeks to emulate father, to bring something of his power and decisiveness and knowledge into the child's mind. And thus is born the superego, the individual's sense of right and wrong, which you could compare to conscience or morality. What other voice in you, not the one that says what you want is against the rules and can get you into trouble, not that voice, but the other one, the voice that says, sure, what you want is legal, but you still shouldn't do it, because it's just plain wrong. That's the voice that says, okay, the law says you can buy that bottle of beer, take it home, and drink it, but you shouldn't, because drinking alcohol is wrong. It makes you do bad things, immoral things. I think most people would probably agree that a child learns, or at least begins to learn, right and wrong from his or her own parents. The thing with Freud was he tried to explain how this actually happens. A very creative explanation, granted, and one which most people absolutely reject, if only because it's associated with the idea of child sexuality and incestuous desire. Still, you've got to admit it's an interesting theory. And with the superego in place, your mind is now complete. You still have a lot to experience in life, and challenges to face, and many conflicts between the different components of your mind. But they are all there now to guide you.